Good evening! Good evening, one and all. We
Hello!
have returned again for a
Huzzah!
second week in a row. It's like
Yes!
we're restarting our role.
Yeah, we can do it, Tom.
I'm
It's
on
like the
call next
accident.
week though, so I'm hoping I can still make it. I should be alright. We'll see. We'll see.
Yes.
Good
Yeah.
evening. So we have Ranger
Hello!
85, we have Dave Holland, we have Captain Jack. You can't believe we're both here. I think Range did send me a message on Sunday saying, would I like to come and join the chat the other night? But unfortunately, I was otherwise engaged because it was an early start, so I decided to get an early night. Yes.
Right. Yeah,
One day
so
I'll
guys,
join you.
welcome to episode 45 of Dom and Tom Sit Talking Hobby, where generally we just sit around here and chat and do some hobby with you guys, who are hopefully already doing some hobby.
Naturally.
Or about to.
Cheers.
So, Tom, what are you hobbying on tonight?
Well, I wanted to do our challenge stuff, but I can't show any of it on stream.
No.
So that is what I'm currently painting. I'm not painting anything else. That's what I'm concentrating on. So I'm leaving that alone. So I'm taking a break from painting tonight, and we're going to be assembling a rhino for the Sister Battle.
Oh, how delightful.
So because I've got 4 of these kits to do anyway, not all rhinos, but I've got 2 rhinos and 2 other ones. So I thought I'd better get through them at some point, and at least have them ready to paint on the shelves at some point. So that is currently what I am working on. How about yourself, sir?
Very nice. I am working on Sisters of Battle as well, possibly. I've got my Imaginifier here.
Is it imaginary?
Imaginary. Very good. And some Chaos Space Marines as well. So I am working on a couple of bits here. More Chaos Marines. What's everyone in the chat working on? Anyone working on anything good? Also, tonight we're going to chat about a few things. I reached out to you all and asked what you wanted us to talk about. So we've got a few suggestions.
I'm not talking about any of it. That's actually That's off our list.
Yeah, we took it off. our heavy agenda that has been removed. But we are going to be talking a few things tonight. Favourite models, Relegated Heretics, of course, narrative campaign, Shikari, etc., etc. So we've got a few things to talk about, which we'll do tonight. Captain Jack working on his guard entry. Very good. I hope everyone's painting challenges are coming on. Dave Holland is working on his infiltrators for the Crusade, so Raven Guard. Very nice.
Yeah, I saw quite a few good leader models being produced in chat, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they all progress over the next week or so. We've got 1 week, guys, for the first part of the challenge.
Goodness. Mr. Lee is working on a rust technique and gluing. And Mr. Blue picking something to paint. Cultists are just not grabbing him. Well, yeah, cultists aren't the most inspiring models.
There's only so many cultists you can have, aren't there, Dom?
Yes, 87 is the correct answer for the amount of cultists that you should ever have in an army.
Is that an official number?
No less. Yes.
I see.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I don't know. You don't sound like a true word bearer now.
No, that's actually what the word bearer said. 87 cultists.
87 cultists, exactly. If you've got any more, you're doing a disservice to the gods, correct?
If you've got too many, you have to sacrifice some until you get down to 87.
Until you get down
vice versa, you have to recruit more if you haven't got enough. Range has got an apothecary and an ancient.
Nice chat delayed. Okay. Yes, it is a little bit delayed. That's a bit of a deal. Must be because I'm doing some serving.
Yeah, so nice. That's good to know. We're all doing a bit of hobby.
Well, wouldn't be much of a hobby chat if we weren't doing any hobby.
Well, I'm sure some people out there are just pretending to do hobby, Tom.
I see. Are we talking about anyone in particular, or no?
No one in particular.
Do we want to say anyone in particular?
Name and
just
shame.
Just some trouble.
Yeah,
maybe I do that sometimes.
Make things up. Let's make things up, Tom. That's what we do best.
Yes. No. I'm looking forward to getting these rhinos actually, because I want to have some more points worth for my sisters and actually have them able to go up the battlefield without getting shot, because I found that is one of their primary causes of death.
Being shot, yeah.
A lot, yeah. They don't like it. Being toughness 3, I think they just struggle. I actually thought if they ever played Death Guard, toughness 2 is going to be even more painful.
Yeah, bolt guns are going to rip through those systems of battle.
I know, but we'll see how that pans out. I'm also hopefully having a game tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah. We've had it all before.
No. This is the current plan. Vicky has agreed to hopefully have a game in the evening tomorrow. So if all goes to plan, we shall have a video up this week. I'm not necessarily going to leave it till Saturday. I don't really see the point. It's not like we're keeping to that religiously at the moment, so it may just go up as soon as it's ready.
There you go. Fair enough. Also, we were chatting just before the stream started, and we're kind of doing it at the moment, kind of an improv kind of thing at the moment. But on our Discord, myself and a few of the guys, we've been having informal chats on the voice channel. I'm going to try and make it a bit more official. So on a Saturday night, we're going to have a little session on there. So if anyone wants to join us on Discord, feel free. We'll have a little hobby evening
including
there.
hopefully myself.
Yeah, Tom may be able to pop along. So it's not going to be streamed or anything. So it's just a private one on Discord. So feel free if you want to come along and join us. That'd be great. Good to see some more of you.
Indeed.
Got a nice group going at the moment. So more the merrier.
More the merrier.
Yeah, exactly that, Thomas. Welcome, people.
Yes, hello, Azrael and Isaac. Sorry, Dom.
Yeah, they were okay. Tom, they stayed up till 2 a.m. watching.
Oh, really?
The Super Bowl. So,
I'm
sorry, Captain Jack. Not really. Sorry.
I'm just glad people are making friends. That's what I say.
Yeah. No. Like I said previously, our Discord. If you haven't joined it already, I don't know why you haven't. I'm gonna
put a link up right now for people to join.
That might be a reason why they haven't. But
if you haven't joined it, there is a fresh link right there. Get involved. If you're first to the viewing here, obviously I know a lot of people here probably already in it because I can see a lot of regulars here. But yeah, come on down if you aren't a member, and I'll get you invited in there. And come join the paint challenge. I think we had a couple of people do that this week. Yeah,
we have.
Which is nice.
And yeah, if you're already a member of Discord and you got a friend in the community, in the hobby, feel free to invite them as well. Like I said, more the merrier. Very friendly, very supportive group. It's the best. There you go.
Look at that. Already had some.
For a better recommendation. So we've got a few things to talk about tonight that people have suggested. So we will. Where should we start with, Tom? What do you fancy talking about?
Just have a look at the second. Models, favourites, hardest to paint, things you wish were different, etc. And apparently that will kill 5 minutes, according to Azrael.
Okay, Tom, what's your least favourite model to paint? From your experience so far.
I'm trying to think of stuff I really hated painting. There's not many that I really hate painting, I will confess. I think Alt Boys are definitely up there with being a pain to paint.
Yeah.
And as you know, I did a very large batch paint of them once, and I think as soon as that happened, I was very much I think I'm going to put down the paintbrush for about 3 months. I think was the last Calio when I did that. So that kind of gives you an idea of kind of how I felt doing them. So I'd say that's the one I didn't like painting. I mean, I love the end result. Don't get me wrong, but they were it's a very big chore to paint. Personally, how about yourself?
I'm going to say the Helldrake. It is ridiculously tedious. I've painted 3 Helldrakes now, and every time, Tom, I go through a different technique to try and make it easier on myself. and it never works.
No.
I've done initially when I first got a Helldrake, never painted one before. I was like, I'm going to spray it black and make it my World Eater one. That was a massive mistake. It broke me halfway through painting it, and I just left it for months.
I suppose you have to weigh up the option of how much of the edging you want to paint and or paneling. You kind of screwed either way though, because it's either paneling or edging. It just
exactly. So the next one I got, I sprayed it silver. So then I had to fill in the panels, like you said, red for my word bearers. And that was hard work as well, because you end up going over and you've got to touch up the silver anyway. And then the last one I did, I did red. So then you had to go through all the trim and do it silver. And then you have to go over the red anyway, because the spray's not particularly great. So you end up pretty much doing it all anyway. So, they're horrible models. Anyone who plays Chaos Space Marine as a painted Helldrake will know where I'm coming from on that one. They're just, oh, God. Not fun. What about assembly wise?
Assembly wise, I'd say actually a few 4-drop models I've had in the past have been a pain to assemble. Depending on the size of the kit, I think some of the larger kits, because as much as they do very good quality models, sometimes when you get them, the warping on them is incredible. as you've seen on some of my recent ones, with the old bendy Demon Prince sword. But I remember doing my Castus Assault Ram and having to put that in like hot water for a bit, just to get the panels to actually fit. And then I had to do the hairdryer treatment on my I've forgotten the name of it now. But yeah, the big Land Raider. It's gone out of my head.
Yeah.
But I had to use that to get the chassis to fit together.
Mm-hmm.
And it just and then it almost like it was melted in place. That's essentially and that was not fun, because you always think you're going to break the model as well.
Oh so, yeah. For myself, it's 2 dedicated transports with 2 different races. One is the Orc truck. I hated that model. I think what I hated about that model was pretty the idea of painting it as I'm putting it together. I'm like, what? Why has it got so much detail for something that's essentially rubbish?
You're gradually psyching yourself out of painting it while
building it. Exactly that.
It's like, I don't want to paint this model anyway. Throw it away.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you've made a really elaborate design. I love putting bits of engine together.
Spartan, and then sorry.
Yeah, and the next one is probably the Space Marine drop pod. And it's more, the thing that annoys me about that is the inside of the Space Marine drop pod. Because it's so fiddly. I remember, because I don't know if you remember, my Flesh Terror army was essentially submarine drop pods. And my drop pods went from one open one to the rest just being closed. Because I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. They're ridiculous models.
I closed 50% of mine because mainly because I actually tried to assemble the insides and mess them up, and I must admit, actually now you're reminding me about that. I think that's one reason I've never made another drop pod. I've made 6. That's enough. I don't need any more. Hello, Daryl. No problems with being late, my friend.
I think Mr. Lee said the skull cannon assembly. Have I made a skull cannon? No, I don't think I have, but I can imagine the amount of spikes on that is very frustrating. Because you've got to do the outside, you've got like things where you can see into it, haven't you? So you've got to glue inside bits and put the outside bits over it, and it's covered in spikes. It's not particularly fun, I'd imagine, to do.
No.
So,
no. And going on to the flip scale of it, I suppose, favourite models.
Oh, okay. What, favourite models to paint or to assemble?
We'll do both. We can do both, can't we? What's your favourite model to paint, Dom?
I'll tell you what, my favourite models to paint have been my Chaos Knights. By far. Especially the last one, the Herald. He was an absolute pleasure to paint. Because he's just a big canvas where you can do what you want to him. I think I'm enjoying the bigger models, not just because of the ease of getting around them with a paintbrush, but because the finished result, obviously, in my opinion, looks a bit nicer. Yeah, that's probably one of the, and also probably to assemble as well. To be fair,
That's fair.
Knights, especially Chaos Knights, because it brings out the kit basher in you as well, where you can kind of go, right, it's a fun kit to make, whatever, like being Imperial or Chaos, but then you can add the converted part of it. So yeah, I think Chaos Knights are both of those, mate. What about yourself?
I'm actually going to say the new Primaris kits.
Oh, really?
I actually really enjoy painting them. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know
That's
what it is.
good.
I just find, having as I've painted a lot of Marines, as you know, I found actually painting them in comparison quite a joy. Mainly because they are bigger, obviously. So there's the detail. Although they come with a lot of detail, I find them just easier to paint than some of the standard the older Marine kits.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Which is actually quite nice. So that's kind of what I would. I mean that, and also I'm quite a big fan of painting vehicles. Just any vehicle really. I like painting vehicles. I haven't tried a Helldrake yet. I probably will do, and I'll probably come to the same conclusion you did.
Yeah, do not do that as well. I tell you as a friend, avoid the Helldrake the best you can. They're not amazing anymore, so you don't have to have them, Tom.
No.
If you want to punish yourself, get a Helldrake.
I know they're not amazing. I've seen them die multiple times when I played.
I'll tell you another thing that I really dislike painting. Chaos Space Marine backpacks.
Oh, they're horrible actually, aren't they? Because they've got the weird...
I don't know what's going on with them, Tom, to be honest.
Yeah, I was so glad in that case, because obviously when I did my Night Lords, they were all the Heresy kits. So I didn't have the same problem as that. I've seen the Berserkers. They're a special breed of
backpacks all over the place. Yeah, I think they're the older ones as well. But yeah, backpacks. And we've got gluing would be Traitor Guard. Yeah, I think Traitor Guard. We'll talk about Traitor Guard in a bit. But it's a converting aspect as well. I think is a big part of that kind of hobby. Mr. Lee loves painting dreadnoughts. Yeah, I think painting vehicles is satisfying in general. I think earlier today someone liked my Trojan support vehicle on Instagram, and I remember painting it and looking at it and going, I've actually done a pretty good job. Well, in my own standard, I was like, I've done a good job on this, and I think it was one of those things that I actually enjoyed painting as well. And as for Forge World, it was easy to put together, which is nice. Like we said previously, sometimes you get a terrible kit.
Oh, honestly, the kit. I mean, I think putting the Forge World actual, putting together is actually not difficult. It's more sometimes the quality of one of the molds. That's normally what lets it down. But ultimately, instructions wise, you don't really need that many for some of the Forge World kits anyway, because they're fairly low, count on parts. So and I would say. So the only thing that drawback sometimes is some mouldings you get are a little bit off, but nothing that would put me off buying it. So it's all fixable. So and I must admit, as with Miss Lee, I'm also quite a fan of Dreadnought painting, as you know. I've got a couple.
Yeah, likewise. Hello, welcome.
Right, haven't heard from you for a while. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well.
Murat, we are talking about favourite models to glue together and paint, and also least favourite as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other ones I really didn't like, actually.
Space Marine feet as well.
Space Marine feet?
Yeah, oh, jeez. Don't be...
Well, you sound a bit weird, but alright, I'll bite. Why feet?
I just don't like them. I'm talking from a Chaos Space Marine point of view. They're all over the place. They've got different parts. They've got a toe part. Is that meant to be one colour and the other another colour? Oh, no. Feet not my thing. Hello, Patches. Mr. Blue 83 is rather light on Dreadnoughts. Yeah, Mr. Blue, that's more of a design thing I went with.
No, hang a minute. It's because you don't like Hellbrutes.
I don't like Hellbrutes, that is correct.
That is exactly why you haven't got many Dreadnoughts.
In general, the World Eaters were going to be my Walker army, so I've got a lot of Defilers for my World Eaters, and I've got the old Forge World Dreadnought. And then I got distracted by my Word Bearers, which were going to be more of a mechanised track kind of army, and so they don't have many Walkers in there. I think they've already got...
I didn't realise you had a World Eaters army.
Yeah, Vicky's looking after it for me, unless she has sold it.
I don't know what you're on about. Vicky's got a very nice World Eaters army.
What? Murat likes painting necklaces. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I think some models you kind of fall in love with when you're gluing them, and you kind of look forward to painting them, and vice versa as well. You're like, oh, geez, I don't want to paint this.
I mean, you always get one. You know, sometimes you need. When I was doing my Death Guard, I actually really enjoyed painting the first batch of Blight Lord Terminators, but the second lot were a bit more like, oh, this again. I think if you do the same model very quick after doing one lot, I think it can become a little bit of a chore.
Yeah.
See, and unfortunately, because of my method of painting, I tend to batch paint, as you know. But I need to do it in the same batch. If I do a batch of 10 and another same batch of 10, I'm normally like, sod that, I'll come back to it.
Yeah, I think you definitely get hobby burnout from like having a too big a batch of models to do.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So I try to keep them quite small batches, but occasionally you get carried away. Like I think just before Christmas, I did 20 plus blood letters. I mean, it's a very simple paint scheme, but when you got over 20 of them, you're like, oh god.
It takes a bit of time to do, doesn't it? That's the thing. So.
It does depend on your colour scheme as well. So I mean, it depends what you want from your army as well, Borat. If it's going to be a hobby project, or if it's let's say a more competitive list that you're going to take to events, that you might want to kind of go, look, best painted. That's a different low model count, good detail. Yeah. Like you're not going to put that much effort into.
Maybe you could do both.
Yeah. Who knows?
Low model count, bad detail.
We have tried.
We tried. There was also another one there, which Azafel did as well. This is going off to a different topic. There was a wish list of the next codex after Drakari one. Don't we know what it is, though?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be Sisters, isn't it? Am I right in thinking that?
I would be very surprised if it wasn't.
Yeah, because they've got a box set together.
Yeah.
I would say it's Sisters. But for my personal wish list, I'd obviously want Chaos Space Marines.
I'd like to see Chaos as well, quite frankly. It's I think they've been pushed too far back down the list. I think they should have been. I'd like to see a classic Space Marine versus Chaos Marine starter kit again. That'll be good. Both the codex released together.
Yeah, and I was there once a Traitor Guard one. That is definitely being wishful there, my friend. Yeah, I'd love that as well. We'll talk about Traitor Guard in a bit and what the current situation is.
But yeah, however, if there was a codex outside of all of that, I'd like to see a Black Templars codex. It's just.
I'd love to see a Wordbearer codex, but it ain't going to happen to them.
I don't know, I think I've got more chance than you.
Well, we'll see. I'll have to email some people at GW. But yeah, no, I think Chaos would be good. Another one, like we know it's going to be Sisters. I very much doubt it's going to be anything else.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty amazing if they've kept it in the bag for this long. Because we've already seen new models for Sisters. We've seen a box set for Sisters that are sharing with Chikari.
It would make no sense for them not to do that. So
yeah. I don't know. I think I would be kind of tempted with Guard as well, because I know I'm saying Chaos have a lot of supplements that kind of boost them up a little bit. I think the Greater Good book for Guard wasn't particularly amazing, so I think Guard could do with a nice little boost as well.
I'd be happy with Guard as well. I've seen, because as you know, I've got a small Guard army for my Templar force, so and it'd be nice to get them back on the table again at some point.
Oh, absolutely. What about people in the chat? What codex would you like to see next after Chikari? We've got Emperor's Children. That'd be a nice one.
Eldar. GW has to give each army a big model or big boss, and Necrons get the last one, and after the 1 year the Imperium needed a new big enemy. And Chaos should, I think Chaos should be there. I agree. Considering the amount of horrendous stuff they caused in the last kind of story advancement, that's kind of what surprises me the most. I think that they're not sort of at the top of the release list. But I suppose anyone who likes an army could say that about their army. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah. I think God are up for some good things. Emperor's Children and Templar box. That is interesting.
That would be good. I mean, just
Mm.
imagine kidding all those Emperor's children.
Yeah, they'd love it. Do I have a smile on their face?
Well, thank you, Isaac. I appreciate that you like my guard. I do need to go back and have a look at them. I haven't really done anything with them for years now, but they're not really my top favourite army, so it's hard to go back to that to add to it.
Yeah, it's sometimes quite hard to revisit an army, isn't it, Tom? After you've kind of left it.
I mean, yeah, it's like, I think with my guard, I built it around 2 of my super heavy tanks. So I didn't really need a lot to make it happen, and it was really supposed to be a supplementary force to my Templars. I had no intention to make it into a huge force. So I bought what I wanted exactly, and I made what I wanted exactly, and it's finished. And the way I look at it, if I buy more models for that now, after not finishing the stuff I've got here, I just feel like I'm going into quicksand and not actually finishing kind of what I start and finish. So
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, pretty valid point. Right, so we might as well carry on through some of the suggestions.
Yeah.
So next one is thoughts on a proper 40k film.
Not a non-proper one then.
Not a non-proper. Would you like to see an animated one or a live action one?
Live action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fed up with all this animation stuff they keep doing. I mean, I'm not saying I don't like it. I think it's about time we had a proper. Yeah, properly done live action, and not with Space Marines.
Yeah.
I know that's their big kind of, we better do Space Marines because that's what everyone knows us for. So, well, that's not quite true. I think a Guard film could do equally well.
Yeah.
But it would have to be something that people can relate to. So I think Guard would be the best and most obvious choice.
Yeah, definitely.
Because otherwise otherwise you alienate people that aren't necessarily from the, from our community, the wargaming and 40k community. And yeah, I mean, Eisenhorn is getting a live action. Jack, yes, you're quite correct. Obviously, we're waiting to see whenever that does eventually turn up. If there would be a movie, I would like to see the human perspective, but not part of the Imperium, so that each known faction is an evil one. The bad guys. Yeah. That's the other problem, isn't it? Because everyone likes to have a good and a bad guy, but you can't really do that with 40k.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. Kind of like a bit of a rogue group, maybe some pirates, army.
What about you, Dom? Any particular thing that takes your fancy from the 40k universe into a movie format?
I mean, Guard, like you said, the obvious thing to do, aren't they? Really, it depends what you want to do, and you've got the budget restrictions and stuff. Like, I think a Guard one would be good, but I'd love to see some sort of space stuff. So things go through the warp, and then demons emerging in the ship, and it turns into almost horror-esque, a bit Event Horizon, I think there's so many possibilities. Even Sisters of Battle. They're not quite Marines.
No, they could almost work because the size kind of is correct, if you see what I mean. So
yeah,
I could see that working. But Gaunt's Ghost would be good. However, they haven't got Sean Bean to play Gaunt, so it's a bit old now. So
he's getting on a bit. Have you seen Snowpiercer, Tom?
I haven't seen that yet. Is it good?
Yeah, it's a good series. Yes, we'll talk about that in a bit. But we're into the second series, and Sean Bean's in it, and Sean Bean's actually pretty good in it so far. I think there's another episode tonight.
He's pretty good in it. Come on, he's never bad in anything, mate.
Well, he's not dead yet. He hasn't fulfilled his overall role of dying.
Look, you've got Nick Cage. I've got Sean Bean.
Yeah. Titan crew being turned by chaos, small sets, occasional. I don't think any massive battle scenes. I think it's a story of the world and the characters. I'm not sure about Titans though. Titans have never really appealed to me in like when the books come out. I don't know.
It might work, but I think it would have to be from a crew point of view, but then I think people wouldn't understand it. Because the problem with the 40k universe, I think you had to sort of have a kind of some bridging stories at the beginning to actually explain what it's all about, because otherwise people are going to be rather confused, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just jumping in and doing a certain thing, a subject matter, people are going, oh, what's a Titan? How does it work? People aren't really going to understand. Bane Blade Crew works. Obviously, tanks are fairly universal, so.
I think there's a Shadow Sword book, and that's about the crew, but the crew only stay in the tank for so long that they go, no, their own adventures. So that could be quite good as well. There's a lot of books that they could adapt into a pretty decent film if they wanted to. Yeah, Isaac, if you like that, you got to go read Treadheads. That's pretty good. Yeah, I've read that a couple of times. It's quite nice. It's not particularly long. About Cadian tank company on an orc-held planet. Pretty cool. Cool. Right. So that is. I could wish list about a 40k film.
There's so many you could.
I think the problem is we instantly think about 40k films. Like I said, like Imperial Navy. When you think of Event Horizon, Guard Battle One, you could do something like Saving Private Ryan or Black Hawk Down or whatever, Starship Troopers. So you kind of, or even Imperial Knights, you think like Pacific Rim. There's so you instantly go to a film that you know. It'd be quite nice for them to come up with an idea that is pretty original for a 40k based film. That's my opinion. Otherwise, non-fans would just be like, that's just Pacific Rim.
Yeah. Plus, there'll also be much like I was 40. It's Warhammer. I'm not in. We won't check that out.
Yeah. Yeah. The Warhammers. Yeah, but how many people will go? Come on, you want to watch it?
Yeah, I know.
Play the game.
Play the game. You got to give it a go.
Yeah, exactly.
No, and fan service which want to have as a fan base. Yeah, there's I said, plenty of things you could do. So, I guess hopefully we'll be able to re-explore that for real at some point.
And it's always. Sorry.
Go on.
No, I was going to say it's always something that we kind of want, but then when the finished product comes out, we're all like, "Oh, that wasn't great."
We've
never lived up to your own interpretation.
We saw the other film.
Yeah.
You remember? You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And I think fan service only gets people so far, doesn't it? Like if you're going to be a studio creating a GW film, you're going to try and attract as many people into the cinema or to rent it, to buy it, or whatever. And fans are going to go, whatever, I'm just going to watch it. Like, we might protest and go, it looks terrible, but secretly you're like, $8.99, yep, I'll get that.
I mean, just to draw a slight parallel to the gaming universe, because obviously a good example of a game that made really mainstream kind of strategy was like Total War. Even you've played Total War when it originally came out. And you think about the success that game's had, just by drawing in a strategy crowd, but also the Warhammer world, because it's got an amazing. It just works, but it's all been let into very gradually through adding races and stuff like that from traditional ones that were very popular to making it very interesting and overall. Now they're releasing their third game this year, which is going to be it's all chaos related, which I think was probably the toughest one to probably sell, I suspect.
Quite an interesting one, in all honesty, isn't it? Because they've got the Kislev contingent in there, and Kislev obviously have had direct design with GW for the old world at the moment. So that's quite a nice bit of cross-pollination there between the studio and Games Workshop.
Assembly.
It's quite an interesting one, that one.
Yeah, so I've got my eye on that one, obviously. But yeah. 2 hour 40k next 3 to 4 years. Well, that's one of the things I would love to see. I don't know how they're going to do it, having played Napoleon Total War, which I thought was one of the worst Total Warhammer series I've played, actually, which is a shame. But what's you going to do?
Yeah. Okay, so next one is, by the way, guys, we're reading questions off our YouTube, Discord, and Facebook. So we're not just coming up with random questions to ask each other. Or are we? Terrain, 3D printed, pre-bought, build your own. What are your thoughts and ideas? Or things wanted for future games. What's your feeling on terrain, Tom? Because terrain is a big part of the game.
I like terrain, obviously.
That's good.
I think
Thank
it's
you.
actually a very important part of making battle reports. Actually,
Yeah.
I think having bad terrain really, um, yeah, you have to. It has to. Yeah, they have to look good. Otherwise, your board just looks awful. Quite frankly, and it's a fairly obvious thing naturally, and even though I'm saying it now, but it's you know, and personally, from point of view of terrain, I've tried building terrain. I've bought pre-built terrain. I've built pre-made terrain. Yeah, I've tried quite a lot of it now, and as you have as well, Dom. And and I think actually with terrain, I think it really depends on what kind of board you're trying to build.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, it's not just looking at a piece of terrain and go, that looks really cool. Doesn't mean it makes a board. Because one piece, does not make a full board. And you had to have something that kind of fits with the theme you're trying to do on the board.
Yeah.
As we've said in the past, when we do our events, we kind of pick a theme for a board, don't we? Really, and then we build the terrain around that theme. And obviously, sometimes that's been forced into a hand when we've had a whole box of stuff donated of a certain type of terrain, and then we obviously go, oh, well, that's a city board then.
Yeah. I think you're right. Like, if terrain does make or break a game, it might sound quite minor to start with, but
I used to think it was
big
minor.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people did, and I think back in the day, the emphasis wasn't really on terrain too much. But obviously now, if you're watching a battle report, etc., you want to be immersed in the game. So, like Tom said, you have a theme on the battlefield. So you might go, well, this was an Adeptus Mechanicus planet, so let's have all these bits, but let's not have a stone tower in the middle of the battlefield. So it all could be themed to a degree, and you can come up with some amazing ideas. And like I've been looking at Necromunda boards a lot recently, and some of them are absolutely breathtaking. So I think terrain is a massive part of the game, both like in the gameplay, but also in telling the story. And there's so many people out there making terrain. You can make your own. Like back in the day, in a White Dwarf, GW used to give you a little thing how to make a cardboard fortress.
Oh god, I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah, or use a Pringles pot. We've all done it at some point.
Yeah.
Improv terrain. I've done it recently at work when I had a game with Dave. We had to come up with random things around our area to go, that's it. And a duck was the objective in the middle of the battlefield. So, yeah, it can make or break a game. Also, like one of our sponsors, not the one that you're going to have a fantastic ad for, but Game Mat EU, they do some really good.
They're one of the ones I would always consider pre-buying if I wanted
really nice
something ready-made, because they also do a very generous amount for the amount of money it costs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And yes, it's not the cheapest, because obviously you could go out and get yourself the 3D laser cut or whatever it is, but it does look nice. It does look nice. So yeah, that's the way you kind of have to think about it sometimes, because you have to balance up how. Because obviously we spend a lot of time painting models and making models. Do you have a time to make a lot of terrain at the same time? Probably not. So for me, terrain will always be stuff that I will buy at least in a decently assembled form, or a kit that's very easy to put together. Unless it's something that really took my fancy. I remember when I got the Fortress Redemption, that was one thing that I really, really liked. And I enjoyed putting that together and painting it 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah, likewise. I mean, I've got bits of terrain that I've enjoyed painting, and you kind of like create and get on with. Like Andy Ashby just said there, it's having tiny bits like lichen and gravel, etc. Bits of bark, everything you can use out real world, and you can get little crates and little barrels. Put them on a battlefield, it kind of brings it to life rather than just plastic building middle here, plastic building there. You got to kind of create your battleground and your narrative. And like Murat just said, and what you've previously stated, it's fun to build terrain sometimes if you're in a group, but you'd rather be painting little models rather than big bits of terrain. Really, let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, to a certain degree, it does depend on it. If there's a bit of terrain that grabs you, you can change your mind very quickly. So, but it has to be good.
Yeah, definitely.
And as my thoughts on 3D printed, I don't know. I haven't really seen a lot of 3D printed terrain myself, as in like stuff that I'd actually consider I'd want to buy. No. But I know it's obviously an emerging. well, it's not really an emerging technology anymore now. It's fairly well established, I'd imagine. But yeah, I'll maybe have to do a bit more research on it, to be honest. I mean, personally, I'm not going to be buying myself a 3D printer anytime soon. Mainly because I'll probably just mess it up and print really bad models. So yeah, I don't really fancy it. But yeah, I'm sure eventually stuff will be equally as good as you can get from there. But I will confess that I think my least favourite type of terrain is MDF cut terrain.
Oh, really? Is that just from your personal experience?
I mean, as you know, I have some. You know,
Yep.
you know, I try to work out what it is, but I just feel it's just not quite as good sometimes. I think it's really good for getting a lot of terrain very quickly. I would admit, 'cause it's very quick to put together. But I always find the paint jobs on it don't quite look as good, and yeah, and also sometimes the way they slat together don't lend itself very well to looking particularly good. But I think, you know, I may be speaking from bad experiences, perhaps. Because I bought all that the stanchion terrain, didn't I? So you got for our lava board to make it all kind of stand up out the lava, so to speak. I didn't really want it all sitting on the ground level because it didn't make any sense. But yeah, that's just more of a personal thing, I think. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just
I think like a bit like you're saying about 3D printed stuff. I think the technology's come a long way as well. Because I was looking at some NDF terrain the other day, and it's got like 3 different levels to it. So you have like the almost like the skeleton part, and then you got the fascia part, and you got it on the other side as well. And I was like, that looks pretty smart. I mean, I didn't see it painted, but I was like, that looks pretty nice for what it is. Because I think the stuff that you've got for the studio is just the one level, isn't it? The one skin kind of thing.
Yeah, there's not really any kind of detail apart from the kind of squares for the for the walking spaces, which is fine. It's okay. It's just not. I think from my point of view, it could have been better. But at the time, I was just looking for something that was kind of cheap, looked okay, and worked with the map, and that was the best I could find at the time. So there we go.
Andy Ashby asked, what are thoughts on the Necron terrain for the kill team? I'm not a massive fan, to be honest. No. It's like, yeah, I would hope if they said Necron terrain, you would have something a bit bigger than a doorway, because it's not amazing. It's nice if they've thought about it and gone away from going, this is just another bulkhead for the Imperium. So it's nice they've done that, but it's a bit of a half-assed attempt at doing something.
I do find Games Workshop terrain very hit and miss sometimes. Yeah, they went for a stage a few years back for doing the big fortifications and all that kind of stuff, and they were great. But the problem was they were very, very Imperial themed, and I think that shows what they're trying to do at the moment by releasing, especially I kind of see they're releasing one bit of terrain with a new army by the looks of it each time at the moment, and they, for instance, the new Nurgle terrain that came out with the Death Guard Codex, which looks great, but and it's very Nurgle. But I think it's one bit of terrain doesn't really make a Nurgle terrain board. So
I think terrain's a bit of a funny one. I mean, every bit of terrain they release at the moment, or generally for every race, like Necrons have got their little teleporty beacony things, Chaos have got the big Stargate, Eldar have got their Wraith Gate or whatever, and the terrain they release serves a purpose. It's something you have to get for your army. There's nothing GW release that kind of go, this is a Necron ruin. What does it do in the game? Nothing.
Perfect.
But here's a Necron ruin.
Yeah.
And you go, all right, fair enough, we'll get it. But I think the problem with that is GW don't want to commit their finances to doing this because there's only a small minority of Necron players. But if you went to another company and do MDF terrain, for instance, or 3D printed, you'd end up with a whole series of stuff. Because I have seen some Necron stuff coming out for MDF as well.
Yeah. Cool. No, I agree. Just I mean, ultimately, I think they're missing a bit of a trick not doing it, but I kind of get there, as you say, with your point of view about not wanting to delve too deeply or too greedily. Sorry, into into terrain stuff. But yeah, hopefully in a few years we'll see some more interesting bits of kit come out from them.
Yeah, because I think generally the narrative for 90% of Warhammer 40,000 is from the Imperium point of view. So why would they release anything that's not an Imperium building, essentially? That's
Even
what
saying
it
that
is.
though, there's not that much that left now. For the
It's
old
all getting blown up.
fortifications, it's mainly ruins, isn't it?
Yeah. The fortifications clearly aren't working that well.
No.
Everything getting knocked down. So yeah, that's my thoughts on terrain, Tom.
Well, there we go.
Andy said that. Yeah, you got the Tyranid Spore Towers. I think they've gone, and Forge World have done a couple of bits, and it's a bit of a shame they just.
Oh, do you remember that nice trench work I bought a long time ago?
Well, Tom, one of the donations of terrain we had is down there.
Oh, is it?
There is a lot of Forge World fortifications in there.
Is this one from our mutual friend?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we've got all that as well. So at some point, who knows? Maybe that will get painted and we'll end up with a big old trench work. I don't know if people would like to see that, Tom. That's the problem. I don't know if people would want to see a Forge World trench battlefield.
Well, we should. I mean, yeah. The idea is eventually, if we ever get a proper studio space that we can actually share, Dom. I know that seems like a dream. We'll
find out later tonight if we can, Tom.
Oh well, I'm in on that tonight, so.
Brilliant.
I'm not read up.
It's like 100 million, mate. Yeah, good times. I think we've got to the end of someone's suggestions. Yeah, okay. So
Captain Jack next.
Got Captain Jack. We have got Captain Jack. Yeah, we'll go through the Discord ones first, shall we?
Yeah, I think that's fair because started there. Yeah,
let's carry on. I don't want to short change Captain Jack. I know he gets a bit funny.
This is what happens when you owe our fans money, Dom. Okay.
Look, if I get 100 million, who knows? Who knows what it will get? £5.
He'll definitely get his 5, won't he? Because you'll just love the joke.
Yeah. £5 coins, and that's slowly delivered to him. He's got to pay the postage. Making full-blown narrative lists.
Well, this is actually something that we do a fair bit of sometimes, I suppose.
I don't think we talk about it between us, Tom, though, do we? It just happens a lot of the time. Like, we'll say what the mission is. Like, if we do a narrative campaign, we'll say, this is the mission, this is like the second step or whatever, and then you kind of go for it. So, what's your plan in making a narrative list first? What do you do?
Well, I'll try and do this from maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to think of I think, obviously, typically we will decide on the mission first. That's kind of what we do. But I think sometimes we do that before we even pick the armies. Sometimes, which kind of dictates how you maybe build your list for a narrative point of view. And if it's a small, you go first. We go by point size. So obviously, if you're playing a low to medium point game, and it's like a kind of a kicking off for a campaign, you kind of think, right, what would be the first units in this, for this army in this situation? What would you put here if you had a low model count? What would they take into battle? So if I was taking my Templars, for instance, it would be thinking about like a small Crusade force. So I'd definitely have to chuck in some Crusader squads or something like that to make up those infantry numbers. And I think about it in that way, and then you think who's going to lead it. Well, I would like someone like the Emperor's Champion to be there because he's a very iconic unit as well for the Templar. Because you go through stages of like what would they have? What's the most iconic units of your army? And also, can you include them in the point cost? That's the other important bit, because while narrative is very cool, sometimes when you're playing low points, you can't quite make it the way you want it to. But if you sitting down, just getting the old army builder up and just gradually working through your options, but trying to stick to your theme, that's probably the key thing. Is if you've themed your army, you try and stick to that as close as possible. Which can be a little bit, as you know, Don, can be quite crimping to your ability to maybe win games sometimes. But that's not necessarily what it's about. So
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like if you're doing like I said, like a campaign. Like, let's take a planet strike. Hello, Peter. Take a planet strike situation. You tend to have the attacker and defender, and then it's the escalation, isn't it? Of what's the attacker going to put in first? What's going to be like hitting the beach first, and what are they going to be meeting defense-wise? Like maybe defense is quite weak initially, and then as the alarm is raised, more forces are kind of raised, and obviously the attacker is then bringing in heavier stuff. Like for me, when I'm doing a word bearer list, if I'm doing a narrative game, you kind of think, well, what's the theme going to be? Like, what is the narrative behind your army? So, for instance, word bearers have a lot of cultists, and then like possessed and demons, etc. So you wouldn't necessarily go down the route of havocs to start with. You might go right, well, maybe obliterators might be something I'd have rather than havocs. And same with raptors as well. You may go, well, why am I taking raptors? I could take Orc Talons. And depending on the mission you're doing, you'd go, right, I wouldn't have obliterators at this point. I would have cultists because we've just raised the revolt, and we'll have maybe a couple of small squads of Chaos Marines, a crap load of cultists, and maybe a flyer of some sort because we haven't been able to land any tanks in. A flyer can come in from orbit, or we can have Renegade Guard coming in because they've suddenly had a civil war, so they're involved, and then you'd escalate it to the more elite aspects of your army. So, like you said, the Empress Champion, as far as I know from Black Templar lore, is one of the things that they would always have in battle. There'll always be an Empress Champion for the
He's always
battle.
picked the night before. That's normally, essentially, it comes to him to sort of say, "You are the Emperor's Champion."
Yeah, exactly. So you might not have a captain, but further on in the campaign, you could have a captain that's appeared. And it's similar for instance, if I was doing word bearers, I might have a Dark Apostle because he's been the one instigating the revolt. And you might have a sorcerer who might be behind the lines, just doing some evil sorcery stuff. So yeah, I think part of that is in your narrative. You might, like you say, you might not be playing to make a uber meta list, but if you somehow fit something relatively competitive in there, that's brilliant.
It helps because it helps the game as well. That's the thing. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, we neither. Well, I mean, sometimes we play to win. I mean, obviously that's human nature. Sometimes when especially if you've lost a few times in a row, you kind of wanna try and push yourself to winning. It's also if you're playing a narrative campaign, you're normally quite invested in your army. But there's also I think one of the most important things is if you want to do a narrative force, don't let people make you sacrifice your narrative to be competitive. Play it the way you want to play it, and I've done that. Yeah, as Dom knows, I've done that for years, and it's been painful for me sometimes. Just as in like the losses that have accumulated. I think, just in all seriousness, I think when I started this, I don't think I actually beat Dom once in the first. It must be 3 or 4 years of playing the game, ever. I think that's a genuine stat, by the way, Dom. I think roughly. Part of that will be because I was bad at 40k. The other part was I'd like to play the way I played. And some people may tell me, "Oh, you should take this, you should do this, and you should do that," and I would maybe stubbornly ignore people sometimes because it's not the way I wanted to play my army.
Sorry, Marat's got a good point there. The problem in 40k is that the fluff is not confirmed. One author has an absolute different opinion on how things work, and you have two things which cannot be true at the same time. Which is that's pretty true in some ways. That like I said, the armies in general are massive, and it can go down to a personality in your army. So, like I was saying about word bearers, we won't necessarily we'd have Orc Talons over Raptors, or we won't have Chosen would have obliterators, but it's down to the narrative that you put across. It's not the narrative that Games Workshop have given you. Like, your general should always, in my opinion, represent you in some way. So, for instance, the Vulture, he's got his own plan, he's got his own resources, he's drawn people from different areas, and he'll do it that way. The overall plan is maybe similar to word bearers and overall, but the way of getting there is a different way.
I mean, Emperor's Champion for me, it doesn't. It's not how I would go into battle at all.
Oh!
Go get him! Where's the biggest thing on the battlefield? I want to smack it in the face.
Yeah. But it's just like the whole sort of thing. Like, I think a lot of it is down to mission. Like I've done a few
mission can dictate a lot. You know, we've done
ambush missions. Like I did one recent. Well, not well. Who knows when this was? But with Gavin, we did a Tau Guard ambush one, and so we had a lot of chimeras, salamander scout vehicles, and it was a convoy going through. It wasn't all going to be Leman Russes, but it was a lot of men mounted up in tanks, and then Gavin had stealth suits hidden away, etc. So, and ghost kills. So yeah, it's what you want to do. So don't always listen to what people are telling you.
No, stick to your guns.
Stick to your story.
Definitely.
That's the best.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, people. Stick to your story.
Mandalorian apparently needs to be discussed. I thought we'd done this already.
Have you finished Mandalorian?
I have finished Mandalorian. Yes, a couple of weeks ago now, actually.
Yeah.
Me and Vicky both finished it. We couldn't put it down. We watched it pretty much back to back after the first season.
Oh, good.
We really enjoyed it. Looking forward to whatever they do with the third one, if there is a third one.
Yeah. I think it just got a bit bigger in the second series, didn't it?
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good. It was a good watch, you know. Because so yeah, I mean, ultimately, you know, I definitely, if you haven't watched it, you know, I wouldn't say I was skeptical. I'm not a big series person. For me, you know, I don't tend to go out of my way to watch series unless I really feel like it's something I want to invest the whole period of time to. Because if it doesn't hook me after the first few episodes, I'm generally just not that interested in it. So, and I was very glad to say that this one was, this worked for me. So, and it wasn't that much of a slow builder as well, which was quite nice. It was quite quick to get to its point.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So yeah.
On a slight tangent, it is a pretty big tangent. There's some links in it. I started watching Spaced again last night on Netflix.
Oh God.
It's quite good. It still stands up. I do like it. I don't know how many people out there watch Spaced, but it is a very good British sitcom with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. It is good. Yeah, very nice series. It's quite easy watching as well. So yeah, I was watching that the other day, and obviously there are some Star Wars references in that, so that's why I try and creep it in.
Just got a couple of things coming back about narrative play, so I just might jump
go
that
for it
quickly. So Marat was saying what helps to play narrative games is to take competitive missions and change them so that there is a good balance, because having a game where everyone... Right, yeah, so Marat, I did exactly that in my campaign that I did with Vicky, because I actually used the Crusade mission pack for the Necrons versus Ultramarines, and I adapted the missions in that to my narrative. So I would say that I agree completely, and that worked out much more fun than just playing pure competitive play every match. Even though I got completely trounced every game. I mean, that was also down to a slight change in rules to the Berserkers, I think, but I won't go into that.
It's a sore spot, Morat. We don't talk about it.
Surprised Vicky hasn't walked on to sort of say, ha ha.
Andy actually saying open war cards. Yeah, they're quite fun as well, aren't they, Tom?
Yes. I haven't got. I don't know if I've got the new set yet. Actually, there is a new one out. But I'll definitely pick it up for one of our games, mate, because I think they're actually quite enjoyable when you sort of get into them. You kind of have to just embrace them and don't try and go, oh, that's a bit unfair for me.
Draw another one, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Because ultimately, we've had some fun games where we just let it slide. I mean, we've been both guilty of this sometimes when we're playing a game and you start losing badly, and then you're like, just cool it. You know,
yeah, we're done.
I remember we made a pretty much a pact to say that we wouldn't ever do that again unless there was literally, you know, maybe if you don't have one unit on the board and it was, you know, okay, yeah, I'm going to die. But if, you know, just looking like, because I think you had a pretty good game once, didn't you?
Yeah. I was around.
I think it was Daryl's.
Around a friend. I was playing. I don't know if Daryl's still here. I was playing Daryl's Craft World.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was like 7th edition.
So it was
when they were completely
disgusting,
ridiculous. And I think after turn 2, I was like, look, this isn't going well. Yeah, almost. Yeah, exactly. He had a rave night in terms of
that was it.
Did I say more? And I was almost gone in turn 2, and I was like, look, mate, I'm not recording this anymore. We'll play on and we'll have a bit of a laugh. And then it just went on and it got really, really intense. And I brought it round a lot. I think I still lost at the end, but it was such a fun game. And it would have been incredible to record it. And and after that, I was like, I'm always going to record a game. I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
Because
you can always choose
not to come around so quickly.
Yeah, you can always choose not to put the video up, but if you haven't got the video, you're always forced not to put it up. That's the way.
Oh, and I won! Carol said I won!
There you go. I think you did win. I'm pretty sure you did.
Oh, man. Right, there you go. So, yeah, it was a very fun game. And, that's my rule now. I'm just going to go for it, Tom. Just do it! Just do it!
When can we play?
Look. Can't. Unless you come work for the company I work for and sneak in and we have a game at lunch.
I don't know, I might get in trouble with that now.
There you go. So what is next, Tom? What's our next topic of conversation?
Some online event ideas could be cool to go alongside the painting competitions. Like Black Toad Armies on Parade. Yeah, I mean, actually, it's not a bad discussion to have actually, because obviously they do. So obviously got Armies on Parade. I mean, we could do maybe a yearly thing as opposed to something where well, maybe not a yearly. That's might be a bit too much, too long time. But maybe something like where we say you have 6 months to do this, and then we'll have a look at them.
I think the yearly one isn't. See you later, Maura.
Goodbye, Mark. Take care.
I think a yearly one isn't Emperor Protects now. Depends on your point of view. A yearly one isn't too bad. If you kind of go, right, we do a yearly Army on Parade and the painting challenges throughout, you can work towards your Army on Parade. Yeah. Like if for instance, Daryl wanted to do AdMech, you can go, right, I'm going to make an AdMech board throughout the year, all the painting challenges. I'm going to be working towards my AdMech Army on Parade board. So I don't know if people will be interested in that, kind of do the whole thing.
Maybe we could do a vote on the community page.
Yeah, do a vote on the community page.
We'll set it up as something to see what people would find most interesting. And so we're not necessarily saying if you don't vote for one, you can't do another one. We just want to, the reason we're doing the polls at the moment is to try and get an idea of what you guys actually want, to be honest, because it's all very well us pumping out content here and there, but it's been a bit dry recently, which is partially down to myself as well, because I haven't been able to get any battle report videos out, and I know Dom hasn't got a bloody chance at all at the moment, but
I said I might do pop-up pirate with my daughter. Be on with the battle report, pop-up pirate. It'd be pretty intense. I'd
watch it.
She's not a good loser or a good winner. Actually, to think of it. So it's up to you guys if you want to see that. But desperate times, people. Pop up pirate or nothing.
I'm also up for possibly streaming a game. Maybe, I don't know. It's the problem is it's not the easiest thing to do. For me anyway, because of the way the flat's laid out, it's not the most easy thing to sort of just bring everything into the front room and do get a webcam up and get some cameras up and do a stream from there. It's not really practical. So but it's if there was enough interest, I might consider it. If only you had tabletop simulator on your PC, Dom, we could have done a online 40k game, mate.
Nah, it's a real thing or nothing, mate.
No, you see, you're not quite into that. You see, I understand. I get it.
Nah, it's like having non-alcoholic beer. So what's the point?
They do that?
Yeah, they do. I've seen people buy it and shame them outside. As I got my can of special brew, what's wrong with you?
The police like, sir, you're breaking social distancing. Yes, go home.
Put some trousers on.
Oh, okay. We've gone down that route now, have we?
Yeah. Let's move.
I do what I want. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah,
So move on.
I'd quite like to do it. We'll do. I think
Maybe
Jack
we'll get
came
some
up with that.
suggestions together, and then we'll put a poll to maybe see
Yeah.
what people are interested in doing. Because I think that's I think that'd be quite exciting as well over a longer period of time. Because obviously we did the 2-week thing, which is great. But maybe people might like to try something a bit more grander.
Could we enter that, Tom? Do you think we'd be able to enter Armies on Parade?
Do
you fancy getting your hobby out and trying something?
Well, you want us to try it?
Oh, man, I'd be more than happy to give it a go.
I'll give it a go. I don't know what
I'd do. I
don't know what I'd do as a theme. I know Mr. Lee quite likes a bit of Armies on Parade because he always wants to do an entry, so maybe he could do it as well.
Well, he's working on his Nurgle, so he's halfway there.
Yeah, and also Lee could rent a studio for a few months and play games. Yeah, see, that's great, but it's money. I think is the I'm not sure I could afford rental on a studio at the moment, sadly. Might be pushing it a bit.
Yeah. So we'll see what people think. Armies Parade. I like that idea.
But we could, we could do one for us. We could do Black Toad Armies on Parade.
Yeah, we definitely could. I think we're pretty much done on the Discord stuff.
There's one more there, to be fair. Mike had a quick question.
I've been running a narrative campaign for the last 3 months, and I feel like players are finally starting to wonder a little bit. How do you keep a group on task? Well, Mike, I'm running a crusade thing at the moment, and I don't know if it's the same thing, like in comparison. But I've got a little WhatsApp group, and it's about encouraging people. So you put pictures up in our crusade group. We put pictures up of what we're doing, asking what we're going to do next. Try and put a bit of narrative in there, and also I think sometimes a bit of new blood into the group as well helps. So if you're doing a campaign, maybe introducing a new player in sometimes might spur people on to want to do a bit more. Oh, there you go. And Daryl, there you go. He's one of our crusade. He's posted a new unit tonight. That's pretty cool. So you're always going to have someone in your narrative group or in your crusade group that might be dragging their heels a little bit. And it's not about naming and shaming them, Lee. It's about bringing them up with you and kind of encouraging them to develop themselves. Because we're all in it for fun, and let's do that. Let's not just be naming people all the time and bringing them down, Lee. So yeah.
Oh, you're a bastard.
What did I say?
Oh dear, no. And also, I think the other thing you have to, to watch out for is people that may be being unintentionally negative about the whole process as well, and try and steer the conversation away from the negativity. Because sometimes you can find that maybe one person isn't coping as well at keeping up with stuff, and instead of maybe knuckling down, they may start to turn the conversation to, I don't think I can keep up with this, maybe we should try something else, that kind of stuff. And then you typically you don't want them ruining the atmosphere and the kind of stuff for other people. So just watch out for that as well, because there might just be one person that's just bringing the whole thing down. Because that has happened in the past, so and that isn't naming anyone, by the way. In all seriousness, before that gets linked to anything that Dom was just doing a minute ago.
I joke, but for instance, like I'm sure Lee will be very proud of it. But Lee, notoriously in our group, has had an issue with painting things and staying on task because, like a lot of us, our brains wander and we start going into other projects. Thus, we all have a cupboard of grey shame. And I'm very proud of Lee because he's actually got himself essentially a fully painted patrol of stuff at the moment. So well done, Mr. Lee. Are they taking the pick out of you? It's because I love you. Daryl's actually got a shipping container that is in his...
Not even at his own house. No.
Not even there.
He actually rented space for the shipping containers. In fact, he's got so much he doesn't actually know what he's got left grey-wise because there's so much of it.
Yeah, and there you go. So it's all swings and roundabouts, really, isn't it? So it still counts, Mr. Blue. Just because you've gone for a little bit more effort and sprayed it doesn't make it any better.
I suppose it makes it easy to sort of go, oh, I can paint that now.
Yeah.
Just pick it out of the box and off
I
you
mean,
go.
sometimes that is a massive obstacle, isn't it? Like, oh, I've got to go and spray it. Basic
Outside?
colour. Painting
No.
Well, at the moment it probably is. It's not very nice out there.
No.
So, shall we go on to the last one? The one that I've personally been looking forward to.
Go on then.
Renegades and Heretics. Who's put a thumbs down? Bet that's Lee.
Well, you can take the lead on this one, my friend, because you know these guys a lot better than me, and I will chime in as I read stuff as well. So
yeah. So someone on YouTube. So I can't find your name
I
at
can
the
find it
moment.
if you want. You get.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Have a little look. See. Asked about Renegades and Heretics and what my opinion is of them now they've gone into Legends.
It was Thomas Gilliam.
Thomas. Yeah. So if you don't know, Renegades and Heretics got sidetracked into Legend status on the 9th of November last year. Bit of a sad time for Renegade and Heretic players. We're always looking out for a codex or something, and then to be put into Legend status is not particularly great. It means that we've just been sidelined for an indefinite period, in my opinion. So their rules changed a little bit when they went over to that. For instance, they lost the uncertain worth special rule. Tom, I know you know what it is, but just ask what it is.
What is it?
Well, it's a random leadership, Tom.
Oh, it's this one. Yes, I do know it. I just didn't know it was called that.
Yeah, so a random leadership, which when 9th edition came around, was not going to be good for Renegades and Heretics. So, if I remember rightly, please correct me if I'm wrong, it was D6 plus 2 was going to be your leadership when you had to take a leadership check.
That sounds correct, yes.
So you can imagine that was not going to be fun for any Renegade troops. So they've changed it slightly. So they've got rid of Renegade, they got rid of Uncertain Worth, and they've kind of simplified the whole rule set. So before as well, you had the Covenants of Chaos, and each god would give you a different ability. For instance, Khorne would give you +1 strength on the charge. Tzeentch would give you a +1 to your Overwatch. Nurgle would give you a invulnerable save for weapons with a -1 AP. And Slaanesh was rolling an extra dice and picking the highest when charging or advancing. So, and not everything had it as well, which is a shame. Yeah, Captain Jack, I do remember that date. It's a date in infamy of Renegades and Heretic community. So, yeah, they've lost that. Renegade Militia have got a little bit better. So they've got a ballistic skill and weapon skill of a 4+, where before I think it was a 5+. Yeah.
They were less trained, you know this. We've discussed this.
Yeah. So they're a bit more guardish than they were before. Because it was embarrassing. Like, you take it to any sort of event and people ask you about a stat line, they'll be like, hang on, 5. Random leadership. And you're like, seriously, can these guys get any worse? So also they have the the Covenant of Chaos has changed. It's going to read through it now. So each time a unit fights, if it made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention this turn, then until the fight is resolved, add 1 to the strength characteristic. So essentially, let's keep the Khorne element of that. So it's not too bad. Having strength 4 militia aren't that bad. And, you know, it's a bit of a
mine.
Kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. You know, they can do things.
Katachan rules.
Yeah. And also you can replace their weapons with, I think they're armed with an auto gun originally, yeah. So you can change for a las gun or auto pistol and brutal assault weapon, which essentially works the same way as a chainsaw. You get +1 attack, which isn't too bad. I'm just going through the rules now. Yeah, you can still have big squads of them, so you get a big squad of 20. So they've got some cool little bits there if you wanted to do that. They've lost a lot of their extra stuff, which is a shame. Like they had their own psychic powers, which were quite cool. Some of them, they weren't the game-changing ones, but they had some nice little abilities there, being able to deal D6 mortal wounds to vehicles and stuff. I thought that was quite nice. I'm pretty sure now they've got sweet FA when it comes to psychic powers. They've kept most of the units that are in there, which is good. I'm going to go through to one of the things that interests me most is the Plague Ogrins.
You do like your Plague Ogrins, Dom.
I do love my Plague Ogrins.
Right, I can now have a proper look because I've finished my Rhino.
Yeah, it might not be for everyone's taste, but Renegades and Heretics mean a lot to me, and I think there's a few.
No, it's fine. That's why I let you do the most talking, because you just know them better than me. I love the idea of them, but to be honest, I just don't. I only ever played against them. I never really collected them or anything like that. So.
Yeah, exactly. They're one of those niche armies, and I think I just stumbled across them really when I was collecting Chaos Space Marines, and I think that's the way a lot of people are introduced to it. That you're looking for that artillery aspect for Chaos, and Renegades and Heretics literally like offering up. Like, hey, look, we can have all these FUD guns and basilisks and women's and all sorts. Minotaurs, exactly. The Minotaur, however, on a side note, has lost its heavy bolters now, so no longer has heavy bolters, which is nice. Because it was always that awkward conversation where you had to go, it has got heavy bolters, and someone goes, well, where are the heavy bolters? And I go, well, they're not modelled with heavy bolters, because I'm not really sure where it is, but the rules say it has heavy bolters. Yeah. So now it doesn't have that. That conversation's over now. Sorry, back on target. No, we're going with Plague Ogrins.
Oh, sorry, I'm working my way down the list.
Yeah,
I found them.
Yeah, cool. So each time they attack, they get +1 to the attack characteristics, which puts up to 4 attacks. Once per turn, they've also got combat stims. So once per turn, when its unit is selected to fight, it can use its combat stims. So a bit like a Bane situation. If it does, roll 1d6 on a roll of a 1, the model is destroyed. Oopsie. Regardless of the result, until the end of the turn, add 1 to the attack characteristics of that model. So you can pop them up to 5 attacks each.
I'm gonna jump in here and say that actually, I think one of the things that annoys me the most about Renegade units, I think sometimes they've put too many downsides into the units.
Yeah.
Just in general, even in the Legends one, I think just having the fact you could, your unit is destroyed. I mean, that's just like what? Why?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. The Renegades and Heretics are always going to be I see them as the NPC for a narrative game. Like they're not there to win. They're there to show how heroic the enemy is. Like, oh, look at me! I've killed like 2 squads of Renegade militia, and I'm just a simple tactical space marine
on my own.
On my own, and I've got a gammy leg.
Isaac, just so you're aware, mate, I've just put that link there is to the community document. Because it's all in the Legends document for Warhammer 40k. So they're in there on page 87. So it's a free one to download off their website, so I'm not too worried about sharing it. I don't think they'll be too upset about it. So,
in fact, the more people who download it, Isaac, the better. They'll see it and go, oh, there's been a bit of an influx. So there you go. Also, each time with the Nurgle one, each time a model in this unit would lose a wound, roll a d6 on a 6, the wound is not lost. Now that is pretty lame. It should really be a 5-up if anything. And then also what used to happen, Tom, is when they died, they'd essentially have a pussy explosion and cause mortal wounds to units without the mark of Nurgle, which I quite liked, both because it probably kill your own men and the enemy.
Well, and then, as they've got the Nurgle entry, if they were to be redone, I suspect they'll just get -1 to damage, just like a Nurgle unit does now, rather than getting a feel no pain. Obviously, that's been pretty much abolished by having an actual unit to give them a feel no pain.
Yeah.
So I suspect that's if it was to be reworked.
Yeah, I'm still a bit optimistic because, like I've said previously, Renegade Guard or Renegades and Heretics or Traitor Guard have a massive part in the 40k narrative, and I do think they're going to be getting a book at some point.
I completely agree.
Yeah. This is kind of like just going, look, the range is there for now. You can still play them. Kind of like, hopefully, you're going to get a book eventually. Also, you've got Renegade Heavy Weapons tiered squads. Now, Tom, have a little look at that. That's on page 102. Now, you might see the squad sizes are actually quite large for that.
3 to 6.
Yeah, but if you look below, 4 or more models, there you go. So yeah, you can give them all a nice bit of weapons there as well. You should be able to give them massive squads.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you can have 6 heavy weapons in a squad, which is pretty cool, in my opinion. You can have heavy stuff
to make
in
up
there.
for their bad shooting.
Well, they used to be worth shooting, which it's quite nice now. They're ballistic skill 4. See, you're thinking of it from a marine point of view, Tom, or a guard.
Sorry, it's quantity over quality for this one, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, quantity,
Okay.
definitely quantity. Like you're having squads of 20 in the militia, you're having heavy weapon squads of 6, you're having 10 Ogrim brutes, or 12 for the normal brutes. So you can have a squad between 3 and 12 Ogrims in a normal Ogrim brute squad, which is quite cool. So once again, that's a squad where you can have 5 attacks for each Ogrin on the charge.
Yeah.
Can't say that's cool. A strength 6 as well with their basic
the Renegade
weapons.
Chaos spawned on. What's wrong with them?
They just Chaos spawn. Why would you want them when you can have Ogrim brutes?
Because they got a D3 table. I mean, that's even more random. Why?
Yeah, so there's some really good stuff. I think they've made them a little bit better, which if you look at the rules, you'll be like, did they make them better?
I think the disappointing thing about them is there's just, even in the Legends one, there's not many entries for them, really.
Mm.
And, I would genuinely hope that, if they do get a code, it gets properly done. And, just seeing them, because as you said, it's one of the key causes for Chaos Uprisings is Renegades and Heretics. And literally they have, I would actually go as far as to say they have pretty much no representation in the game now properly, bar some side games.
Yeah, a couple of squads here and there.
I mean, cultists, really... no one uses cultists in when they play Chaos Marines, really. It's very rare now, especially now they've had a lot of their abilities stripped
removed.
Yeah, because they don't get objectives secured, and I think they got some other. So for instance, if I'd have with my Death Guard, I don't know why I'd ever take cultists in them, even though I have them and they're cheap.
It's an option, isn't it? But you're
exactly
right. Or if you wanted a very cheap one, you'd go with Poxwalkers.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Why would you go with cultists?
Which are now toughness 4 as well, Poxwalkers, so they're almost just...
But the thing is, for a Chaos point of view, like having this army gives you access to some big boy tanks that you normally wouldn't have access to. So, like the Minotaur as an example, but you can have some basilisks in there. You can have some wyverns in there. You can have all sorts. I'm going through the list here. You've got some really cool stuff. A lot of Forge World bits, but also standard Demon Russes or a Baneblade. You've got all these options that you can add into your army. They may not be super competitive.
What about the Renegade Mutant Rabble?
Mate, that used to be good. I was tempted because I'm pretty sure, Isaac, if you're a Renegade player as well, if there's any other Renegade players out there, you used to be able to have a squad of 50.
You can have 30 now by the looks of it.
Yeah, so they downsized it quite dramatically. But imagine a squad of 50 running towards you. And the Enforcer obviously did a slightly different thing back then. Now it's just +2 leadership.
Well, they have the Curse of Mutation now as well. I don't know if that's the same thing. But...
Yeah, they had the thing before. They had the same kind of thing before. But you'd end up losing people before as well. As you do. But yeah, having a squad of 50 mutants running towards you, it doesn't matter what you're facing. They're just going to be like, it's 50 mutants. Jeez. I'm going to kill them. So, yeah, Renegades and Heretics have improved slightly being legended, which is a sad state of affairs. But I predict hopefully they'll get something nice when the Codex is finally released. Hurry up, Games Workshop.
Well, would you like your lottery results now?
I would, Tom. I would. I've rambled enough about Renegades and Heretics. Guys, if you haven't already, give us a little thumbsy up.
Yeah.
And whoever gave us a thumbs down, be ashamed of yourself.
Or
I bet it's Morat on his way out. He was just like,
Morat on his way out.
Yeah. If I can't enjoy this, no one else should. Thumbs down.
I do have the results here for you, so.
Right, I'm just going to tip.
It doesn't look good for me. I can tell you that already.
Well, let's be optimistic. Come on, we can do it. Dave, I hope you're still watching because we're about to win the lottery.
Well, actually, saying that though, I have
yeah.
actually got. I do actually have 3 numbers on one ticket.
What do you mean you might change it later, Mr. Lee? You better turn that thumbs down to a thumbs up.
But no lucky numbers. So I don't know what 3 basic numbers get you. I assume it gets you something.
All right, here we go. I'm printing good things. Right, Tom, let's go for it. What's the first number?
Number 5.
Yes, got that.
Number 10.
All right, no, well, we haven't one.
Number 24.
Okay.
Number 30.
Yep, I've got. No, not one of them.
Number 37.
Nope, not any of them.
A 9. And a 10.
9, not one of them. 10. No. What's the lucky stars?
That was a 9 and 10.
Oh, 9 and 10. Oh, well, that's not that way at all. I got 10. So that's going to win me anything, is it?
Well, I got 3 numbers. I actually got a 24, 31, and a 37 on the same ticket, which got me slightly excited, and then it died off.
I'm not saying we deserve to have our own studio, Tom, where we can enjoy our lives and the grey hairs will fall out of my beard. And,
Is that how it works?
Yeah. The minute you start having a nice time, all your grey hairs and the
I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah, no, they all just disappear.
I thought I had to punish myself.
No, you got to put that flail down.
Just, well, apparently I might win about £3.60 for that. So there we go.
Oh, £3.60, Tom. Yeah. Wow, that's not too bad. I mean, I could tell you, Tom, something about £3.60. You could probably.
Oh no, I'm not. Yeah.
Go on a website.
I did not segue into this, right? He did. Okay.
And purchase yourself something rather pretty from one of our fine sponsors at Goblin
Gaming.co.uk.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot their name for a moment.
I filled in for you.
So there's a link below, guys, on Goblin Gaming. We're affiliates with them. So anything you buy using the link below will give Black Toad Studio a tiny bit of money. You don't have to pay us. It'll come straight from Goblin Gaming. And that money will go towards buying lovely things for the channel.
Mm-hmm. Which we
not
like
buying us. Yeah, exactly. Because when the world starts turning again, Tom, and we're running events, hopefully we'll have some lovely stuff.
I did notice that there were a few people that had bought stuff in the last month or so thank you very much for that. Tom,
I'll show you who those people are. It's me!
Okay.
It's me, I'm the only one
buying. Also, you'll have an announcement at some point about something you bought recently. I'm not going to say what it is because it's obviously it's your thing, but yeah.
And also, so I ran a poll on the community website, and obviously I haven't done any 83rd War host for a while. So according to the poll, you guys would like to see some more word bearers. I am working on. I'm pumped up for doing it because I love my word bearers, and I've got more stuff kind of lying around this area that needs to be chaosified. So I'll be doing that as well as my other projects. I'm doing 1 million projects, so they won't be as frequent as they were before, if they were frequent.
Yeah, obviously, I saw there was some vague interest in the weekdays of Wargamer, which I will try and do something else for. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do for it though, to be honest, because I think what I'm going to do is maybe try and record a set of videos in a row, if possible, and then have them up. And I will definitely do one on the models that me and Dom are painting for the challenge that we're doing between us, but it'll have to come out after we've done the announcement for the thing, because I can't show you anything I'm doing with it, obviously, because we're trying to make it fair when you guys do your little judgment on who did the best.
Well, not who did the best, whose style do you prefer? I think we all know who did the best.
Was that pointing across at me, or sorry?
No. But whose paint scheme you preferred over the other person?
Hence why we're judging it. You're judging it blind. So
you're not going to know.
We don't want any of this favoritism.
Yeah. I'm. I've seen your paint scheme, Tom, and yes. I've told you what mine is. So I think it's going to be quite interesting when we get the finished result for both of them.
Indeed. No, I'm looking forward to getting them finished up. Hence why I thought I'd do some. So yeah, just so you guys do, I did actually finish my my rhino.
You didn't.
There you
go. You didn't really. That was there the whole time. It's a different rhino.
Here's one I prepared earlier. Oh dear, no, definitely. So, but yeah, I suppose that's us done for tonight. I think, mate.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. And like I said, we'll be doing some improv Discord streaming. Won't be on YouTube, just be on Discord. If you guys want to come along on a Saturday night and do a bit of hobby with us, please do. We'll be on one of the voice channels.
I'll try and join you guys this time. So I am free on Saturday, so it should be good.
Yeah, more the merrier. So, guys, I hope you're all staying safe out there. Carry on with some hobby. Pop in the Discord. That was Lee who gave us a thumb down. Pop in the Discord what you've been working on, any pictures. That would be absolutely amazing. I'd love to see what you guys have been working on. Indeed. And we'll see you next time, guys. Take care.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.